Italian Heritage Month. And we are the 5th largest ethnic group in America. And we are the largest ethnic group in New Jersey. Plus, we're the largest ethnic group in Essex County. Plus, we're the largest ethnic group standing here today. We have a lot to be proud of, and today we're going to be presenting some cultural activities, things for children upstairs and for adults downstairs. I'd like to we're just quickly going to acknowledge and have some of our friends speak. You don't put on an entire day by yourself. As I always say, if it's just me, I'm standing like a cagoots with a flyer, But when you call in other people, we have Unico, we have the Club Aguanese, we have the Sister City delegation. When you have people come together, then you could do something that you could really share with the community. All right, so we're just going to go down the line. We have some council people here today.
As a former mayor and councilman right now, Bob Russo, one of the first Italian Americans elected in Montclair, to welcome you to our library and welcome you to Unico event, Italian Heritage event. I want to encourage everybody to join Unico if you're Italian American. It's a great organization. And I want to turn this over. Mayor Jackson will be here soon, so we're representing him. But I want to turn this over to my good colleague, my paisan, who's also Italian, at least large part, Bill Herlock, Councilman Bill Herlock.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that very much. I just also want to echo my colleagues' sentiments. Good to see you all here today. This is a great event. I'm very, very proud of my Italian heritage. My mom is 100% Italian. That makes me 50. We always say that's the good half. It's a great day here. We got a lot of things planned. I want to thank everyone for all the work that they've put into this day. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my good friend, Lello Marzullo. Lello?
How are you? My name is Raphael Marzullo. I am president of the San Vito Society. I'm co-chair with the Sister Cities between Montclair and Aquilone, Italy, and vice president of Unico in Montclair. I want to send out greetings from the mayor of Aquilonia, Giancarlo De Vito, and the entire delegation from Aquilonia who couldn't be here with us today. From them, hello, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Russo, no relation to our former mayor. I'm the first Italian-American chief of police in the history of the Montclair Police Department. I retired as director of public safety for the Township of Montclair in 2002. I'm a third-generation Italian. My family originates from a little mountain town in Sicily called Cerami. We call ourselves Ceramese, and we're very proud of our little island of Sicily, and we're very proud of our Italian heritage. Thank you.
Buongiorno. I'm Anthony Benjavenga, 100% Italiano. I'm 100% Italian. My dad was born in Caserta in Campania, and my mom was from Agrigento in Sicilia. I'm the Italian Studies Chair of Unico National, and I'm also Governor of District 10 in Union County of Unico National, and I'm on the Board of Directors of Italian American One Voice. And I'm honored to be here today, and I'll pass it to our National President.
Thank you, Anthony. My name is Frank DeFrank. I'm from a little town in Pennsylvania called Roseto, Pennsylvania. For those of you who've never heard of it, in the 1960s when I grew up there, we had the highest concentration of Italian Americans in the whole United States and the lowest heart attack rate in the nation. So I'm a little privileged about Italian heritage, but just for those of you who don't know, Unico National is the largest Italian American service organization in the United States. We have over 5,000 members, over 100 chapters, and basically we do two things. We help those less fortunate than us, as evidenced by $750,000 that we've given for cancer research over the past 15 years, and over $1 million in scholarships to students yearly. So the Montclair chapter is here today, as you heard. We're very proud to be here representing Unico National, preserving our Italian heritage. Just remember, we have a perfect opportunity, not only today, but next week, to preserve our heritage with Columbus Day. So, again, it's an honor, a privilege, and a blessing to be here. I'll turn this over to our Membership and Retention Director, Sal Galina.
Buongiorno tutti. I've been a member of Unico National now for the past 25 years. It's an honor to be here. It's a great exposition of Italian heritage. If any in Montclair are not a member of Unico, I recommend that to preserve our heritage and to go forward. Italians have done many breakthroughs. We're proficient in science, medicine, and also the arts. So here again, I'm proud to be an Italian, and I'll pass this on to...
Maria Elena Marzullo.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm the president of the Sister Cities. It was a pleasure, and we're taking this on, and we're becoming abridged with Aquilonia and the people of the Campania region to come here to do an exchange student program. I'm also the vice president of the community outreach program for Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church. Many of us that immigrated here to Montclair found Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church as a welcoming for those that learned to speak the language, helped us to learn the ropes and be a part of a productive part of this community. And I'm happy to say that we deal with Essex County, Passaic counties to ensure that our food pantries are stocked, so those less fortunate can help us, and we can help them rather, and it's really taken on a life of its own, and it's become a beautiful project for us to give back to. And I now pass this over to Steve Ruccio.
Hi, my name is Steve Ruccio. I'm the president of the Montclair chapter of Unico. We are, as a chapter, thrilled to be here to share this day with the Italia programs and the sister city, Montclair and Aquilonia. We are very proud to be Italian Americans. I was born and raised on Pine Street in Montclair, right around here where there was everything Italian growing up. So nothing was better than my childhood. So again, we're happy to be here today. Please visit our table. There's a lot of programs going on throughout the day. So we are thankful you are here, and God bless everybody. Okay. Rich McMahon, Councilman in town.
Hi, I'm Rich McMahon, Deputy Mayor. I have had the honor and the pleasure of doing two sister city trips, one to Graz and the other one to Aquilonia, and they were both fabulous. I cannot tell you how great Aquilonia was. Thank you, Lello. It was much. He was a big, and Maria Elena, God bless him. It was one of the best trips of my life, and I've been on many. They're wonderful people, and the Sister City program is just a wonderful thing. It's the Graz is the oldest one. That one is going to be 70 years, I believe, in next year, and they'll be coming here. But Aquilonia is a unique place, and the people are so warm, so kind, so giving. If you haven't been there, you should go. Thank you very much.
about 2 years ago that Raphael Marzullo got the idea. Everybody clap for Raphael. He's going to speak to you in a few minutes. He got the idea of making Montclair and Aquilonia sister cities. And so I don't know how, I still don't know how you do it. But what happened was that some of our people, our town council, Renee Baskerville here, Bill Herlock, quite a few people went over to Aquilonia. No. Okay, no.
I didn't go.
You didn't go. Well, some of you went. Martin's mayor. But you went, yeah. Okay. Quite a few people on the town council, Linda Wynett, right, went. She's really talented.
Mayor Jackson, yeah.
Mayor Jackson, yeah. And they went over to Aquilonia to, you know, to see it. They toured there. They toured all around the area. They went on the Amalfi Coast. And then they came here. So it's a real exchange of cultures. And of course, what usually happens is that you realize they, as different as you may seem, you have so much more in common. Yeah. And I'd like to introduce Mayor Jackson, if he could come on up here. Yeah. Say a few words.
Thank you so much. I didn't expect to do this. Challenge, we want to challenge. We had a delegation of Montclair people who went, Councilor McMahon, Councilor Herlock went, and Deputy Chief Fasano, and a number of us had an opportunity to go over, and it was an experience of a lifetime, I have to tell you. Maybe one of the most beautiful places in the world. I've seen bring me to tears of the beauty of it. It just took us all around. The folks there are so friendly. And just as an aside, one of the beauties of Italy is I know I probably ate more than I've ever eaten in my life, but I lost 10 pounds. It was just like, this is truly heaven, because you know, where can you eat like this and lose weight? It was unbelievable. And so the food is so natural, and you walk all over the place. So we just got a chance to went to Capri, the Amalfi Coast, and Raphael or Bill can remind me, when we went with Linda to the church, I can't remember I'm having a senior moment here. What was that?
St. Michael the Archangel.
So, St. Michael the Archangel Church. Our clerk, Linda Wynett, has had her granddaughter, who lives in California, has been really has very serious illness since birth. And she goes to the hospital pretty much every week and gets a test done. And for years, I think it's maybe 9 or so years old at the time when we were over there, maybe a little older. And every week she'd go and she'd get these tests, and the tests would come back. She still has a problem, and it's very draining, obviously, on the family and the sickness. So over there in the church, you go and you can put your prayer request in a bowl, and the priest ultimately they have to come, they pray over it, and they burn it, and the prayers go up to heaven. And so Linda did that, and while she was there, and so you can also get some holy water, she was there, and her daughter called, the mother of the grandchild, and called her while she was there and said, we don't know what happened, but we just came back from the test, and the test came back clear. It was really like scary it was scary for us. And again, I'm not, whatever your beliefs are or whatever, but boy, I think for me, that was the most powerful moment of our entire trip, that this miracle healing occurred. And of course, everybody's crying and with our group and so forth. But one of the great memories for me, and just the camaraderie we had with the folks over there. And as was mentioned, they eventually came over here for Columbus Day the following October, and we got a chance to take them all over the New York metropolitan area. They walked in the Columbus Day Parade. We took them up to the top of the World Trade Center. Tracy's Frisano's sister is a deputy chief of the New York City Police Department, so they got the real treatment. So it was wonderful. I plan on going back at some point. And I really enjoyed it. At one point I just thought, well, if I could just, we joked about this, but if I could just get a little boat and, feed myself every now and then, I would just live off the coast of Capri and never that would be my life. Like, eat like a pig and never gain weight. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for pulling this all together. This is great. Of course, Italian Americans in the history of Montclair have a tremendous position here, and the history here and the contributions to our community are legendary. So this coming together is great, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to go. I just see Councilwoman Slager just walked in as well, second ward councilwoman, she's here as well. But I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to say a few words, and I was really blessed to go. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, the Italian one. Oh, the chief.
So I'd like to have Raphael come up for a couple of minutes, and you, Manacho, and just to tell you a little bit about his experience here. I'll introduce him, okay? Because I think most of you know him or have eaten at his restaurant. So we all miss it. Yeah. So for many years, he and his brother, and then by himself, ran the Marzullo's restaurant right on Grove Street. And I know I visited there many times. And one time I'm there and I'm going, what the heck is that over there? I said, yeah. I said, you're Italian? He goes, yeah, I'm Italian. I says, yeah, where are you from? I'm from Aquilonia. Oh! My grandfather's from Aquilonia. And then he goes, yeah, so he had a picture. So this was my first real link to my heritage. Prior to that, I always was brought up, be proud you're Italian, be proud you're Italian, which was fabulous. But to have that link, I can't tell you. And I lived in Montclair. At that time, I must have been living in Montclair a good 10 years. And I never knew that right under my own feet. This is why it's so good to learn about your roots. Because what could give you more of a sense of who you are than to know a little bit about your background. And Raphael has, gave me that, and he's given all of us that. And now he's going to tell you a little bit about it. Yeah!
First of all, everybody for coming. Unico, Township Council, all friends. And just a little bit so you know about Aquilonia. So Aquilonia goes all the way back to before Christ. In fact, Aquilonia was where the decisive battle was fought between the Romans and the Semites that established the Roman Empire. And from there, there was so much, they confiscated so much gold and so much silver that they were able to ornate all of public buildings in Rome, and including some other outside areas. But back then, if you see in the ruins in the old town, that was actually the central trading area. So you had magistrate, like we would have in Essex County, the courthouse. It had its own university. It had its own jail to make people comfortable. And the churches go way back. They're absolutely beautiful. If you go, it's breathtaking. But it's a really, really beautiful town that I came from. And I figured we've been doing it for so long, let's share it. Among other societies that belong to Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, you have the St. Sebastian Society, the St. Donato Society, Unico Society, it's been around forever. Aquilonia, we date back, it's over 100 years now, of immigrants from Italy coming to Aquilonia and making it their home. I was born in Aquilonia, but actually my great-great-grandfather was from Aquilonia and migrated here. And he used to be the gentleman in charge of Glen Ridge of lighting all the lanterns and then putting them out at night and all that. And he went back to Italy and raised his family. And my grandfather came. My grandfather worked for the Montclair Sanitation Department driving a horse and buggy. How far that goes back. My Uncle Vito, we all came. My Uncle Freddie, he worked for the Montclair Water Bureau for 45 years until he finally retired. And of course, you've been to Marzullo's. That was a family business, and a little correction, it was a family business. My sister Mary Elena was part of it. I was part of it. My brother Mimo was part of it. And my mom, she was the boss. And we've continued in serving the community. Some of you may know, our nephew, Rocco Marzullo, just got sworn in about a week or so ago, full-time Montclair Fire Department. But see, when people came from my community, they came here. They came here as masons, as carpenters, as regular workers, because then Montclair was just developing. They actually were coming to Newark and then to Montclair, and they were the ditch diggers, you know, with the rest of our friends from Cerami, Sicily, and Calidri, Lacedonia. You came to a place where everybody knew everybody. So you went up San Vito, took everybody in and showed them, you know, it was somewhere for everybody to meet and be together. So from those, being a very proud people, all of us, that from ditch diggers and carpenters and everything else, we produced for this town doctors, lawyers, teachers, even firemen, and business owners. I'm proud to be citizens of Montclair. So I thank everyone for coming. Thank you very much. It makes me proud.
Yeah, so like I say, that's what it's all about. You know what I'd really like to do now is just to open the mic up to people who want to share their experiences, either in Montclair or in Aquilonia, or even if you come from Calidri, which is like 3 miles away, or Leone. Yeah. Bill Herlock, would you like to say a few words? I know you would. He's one of our council people. Yes.
I wasn't planning to. I am very proud of my Italian-American heritage. My mother's maiden name was Della Poli. Her mother's maiden name was Truppi. Emilio Truppi came over August 26, 1901, aboard the SS Trave. My family is from Irola and Mazzoni in Benevento province.
Close.
Very close. And I was very fortunate. I'll share one quick anecdote. Very fortunate. We know him as Raphael, I know him as Lello. Found my family that I didn't even know existed still in Irola when we were in Aquilonia. So I took off for one afternoon and went and saw them. They were my great-grandfather's brother's family. And we have been in touch since. And thank you. I was very pleased. My son, in July, Montclair High graduate, as is my daughter. I said, what did you want for graduation? You want to party with your friends? You want to have a party with family? No, I want to go to Italy. I want to go meet our relatives. So we went over, actually, in July for 8 days, and we got to see our relatives in Irola, Benevento province. And then we also had the fortunate pleasure of meeting with the delegation from Aquilonia, and we had dinner with them in Nobili one night. So to Lello, I'm forever grateful, not only for his friendship, but also for making that connection again for me with my relatives in Italy. And we're working on finding the Della Poli branch. That was the Truppi branch in Maddaloni. So look forward to more things to come. Thank you very much. This is a great opportunity. I'm very, very proud that you're all here today as an Italian-American myself. And we look forward to many more events in the future. And thank you so much for all that you've done. Because you put a lot of work into it.
We're starting to think about planning this. I've reached out to a lot of Italian American people, and obviously I reached out to the Marzullos, and they've been such a terrific help to us. And no one, Maria Elena, come over here. Maria Elena Marzullo is, she does a lot within the community today. As you know, we have the Club Guanese San Vito, which is right on Pine Street, and then we have Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, which is kind of the hub for a lot of the Italian Americans in the area. And from there, Maria Elena has branched off to the food pantry and to many other things that, I don't know, I think it's probably every ethnic group. You know, but if you have any brains and any heart at all, you want to give back. And she has both of those, and she's going to tell you a bit about what she does.
Well, the community outreach program, let's start with, my family came to Montclair in 1966. They wanted to go back. Unfortunately, I was born that year. I had to stay here. That being said, I grew up in Montclair, born and bred. I always had a love and passion for my family's heritage in Aquilonia. And I will say this, and thank you to everyone on the town council for bringing, and my brother, of course, for bringing Montclair and Aquilonia together, because my two loves, Montclair and Aquilonia, came together to create something beautiful, and we're going to carry on hopefully long before we're all gone. But the community outreach is a sector of that. The church welcomed everyone in, never closed its doors, helped the community, and we were the recipients of that as well. And to be able to do that for others, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. We're now where usually counties are segregated, they're coming together. Hey, you have excess? I know a pantry in Montclair that needs you. So we're bringing this together for the human needs of everyone, no matter no matter who you pray to. And it's a blessing to be able to do that. But that stemmed from Montclair, from Aquilonia, and Pine Street. Yeah. So that's all.
And she's done a terrific amount to put together this day. So, Mayor Russo, would you like to say a few words? Come on up.
I'm not the mayor.
Well, you were the mayor. Emeritus, isn't that the expression? All right. Everybody, Robert Russo. He was the mayor of Montclair. He's on the council now, and he's also a professor.
I'm bringing a message from my mother, who's 100 now in 3 months or 4 months, maybe 100 and a half. So my mom just said to me, she can't get out, she's in a wheelchair. She said, please bring my message to everyone. She found a little old card here that's a very, very old card. It says 1942 on the back, before I was born. And she said, this is your grandfather's card, the grandfather's business. It says Robert Russo and son. My father was named Rocco, but they named me after my grandfather, Roberto. And it says distributor of special brews and beverages, 199 2nd Street, Newark. And she gave me the actual picture of my grandparents that she found, which is an announcement in the Newark News. It was called the Newark Evening News, but it says Newark News here. From 50th anniversary of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Russo, 2nd Street, celebrated. They moved here. They got married in 1912 in Newark, so it's 100 more years ago. They're both passed away now. And then there's a picture of my grandfather, my father, me, and my brother in front of a truck that said Robert Russo Distributor. That was beer and soda they sold, 199 2nd Street. So the memories are so great. Going back 100 years, these old photos and these old cards and things. I said to my mother, I'll bring you all her best wishes. Marie Fries and others know my mother, but Florence Russo, who's in the assisted living, that's what it is actually, Brookdale Assisted Living, West Orange, just cannot get here, wants to give you her regards and love. She was from Provincia di Avellino, she says to me, and she's the sister of Father Chiego, Sebastian John Chiego, who was the pastor of the Church of the Assumption in Roselle Park. He died 30 years ago, but he was the pastor of that church that started at St. Lucy's Church in Newark, which is where we all kind of started. So we grew up in that area, and I've come from Newark to Montclair, and I've been privileged to be a councilman 20 years, and mayor once, working with Councilor Renee Baskerville, Councilor Hurlock, Councilor McMahon, Councilor Spiller, Councilor Schlager, and Mayor Jackson. I'm not sure I'm going to keep doing this, but after 20 years, it's such a privilege to be part of this group of great council people, the wonderful town of Montclair, the wonderful people here, and thanking Lalo and Mary Lynn and all the Marzullo family for bringing this whole sister city to light. You know, I've been unable to go to Italy. My wife's not too well. My sister's got cancer in California. My mother's 100. I really want to go. Maybe if I go there, I can pray like Linda wanted, and they'll all get healed.
Yeah!
Renee, would you like to say a few words? Everybody, this is Renee Basquiat. Now, what is your exact title?
In the township?
Yeah.
I'm a council member, just like Bill Herloff and now Bob Russo and Robin Schlager. The way we're set up in town, we have a mayor, then we have two at-large council people, and then we have ward council people. I'm the councilwoman for the 4th Ward of Montclair, which is where Our Lady of Mount Carmel is. All right. And I've resided in the 4th Ward of Montclair for my entire life. I was born here in Montclair, and I'm the 4th generation of Baskervilles in Montclair. And so while I didn't have the privilege to travel to Apollonia this year, and I've never been to Italy, although I would really love to go one day, I have a very extended relationship with Italian individuals in the township of Montclair dating back into the 1960s. And so I don't know if all of you know, but in the 60s, Montclair was an extremely segregated township. And we had, the township was divided into groups, and in the 60s and before that, I came into the picture a little bit before the 60s. I'm not going to tell you how much before, but but it was still very segregated. And so at that time, most of the African Americans and the Italian population lived in the south end of town towards the area of Pine Street. In fact, we had a very strong population of Italian individuals living in the Pine Street area at that time, and in the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, and a rich culture and history. And as you heard, even back then, the members of the congregation were providing food and respite, not only for other Italians as they came to Montclair, but for everybody in the township that needed it. And so then, the African Americans and Italians that lived there, they also started building schools that were deliberately designed to segregate the population. So on Baldwin Street, where the Minier Lucy School is now, Montclair Child Development, they built that school so that, you know, Italian people that came to America would have a segregated school, and they built other schools in Montclair based on a plan that was designed to segregate. And so over the years that I've been here, the joy and the blessing is to see how far we've come in the time that I've been here. So we've gone from a time where we were deliberately segregated in many ways, and we heard about how your dad was working for the township there. So my granddad had a relationship with his dad, and he was the first African American to hold a supervisor position in the township of Montclair, and he was a supervisor of streets and sewers. And he opened the doors for many Italians and African Americans to come after him and to also be employed by the great township of Montclair. So today I celebrate the fact that we are here celebrating the richness of the vibrant culture of Italian people here, that we welcome people from all over Montclair, everywhere, and even people that are immigrating from other places. We welcome them with open arms. And so it warms my heart to stand here today and to be a part of this celebration. And so God bless you. Thank you very much for what you've done to make this happen today.
Thank you, so beautifully put. I think that's why, you know, Montclair, woo, Montclair, you hear that one, right? It's the greatest place on earth. You gotta come and live in Montclair. And it's been that way for a long time, and that's why. It's because we're a beautiful mix of people, a lot of artistic people, people from all over the world, all sorts. I could tell you stories when I first came to Montclair, and I lived in Upper Montclair, and it was all WASP. And I felt very much like I'm from Newark, you know, and I thought that they could tell I was from Newark. Even though, look at how fair I am, I have the red hair and all, I'm well educated, you know, but I would be walking dogs with the Oliphants and people like that, you know, people with wearing pink pants and a tam o' shanter. You know what I'm talking about, because we're going to go play golf later, right? You know, and so I'm walking with them, and I'm trying to watch the way I speak and everything, you know, and because I think I was the first Italian on the block, and my husband was Jewish, so woo. But little by little, even Upper Montclair has welcomed all sorts of people. I mean, it's just lovely because we have African American people, we have Jewish people. I mean, there were no Jewish people there either. Yeah, and then we have how do you say, same-sex couples with kids. Yes. You know, so yeah, so it's really a beautiful thing, and I used to work for her mother. Her mother was a principal at a school in East Orange. Oh, see how gorgeous she is? You know, she gets that from her mother. Her mother was a doll. Your mother was all love. I just adore that woman. Huh? Yeah, well, God bless her. So one of the things I want to talk about now is our roots in Montclair, and if Mr. Ruccio could kindly come up. Mr. Ruccio has a story to tell. He's from Montclair Unico. He's the president now. He's frozen in his chair. Let us give him a hand. Yeah! This is Ruch, everybody, Ruch. This is Steve Ruccio, and he's the president of the Montclair chapter. And he's also a guy who deals straight from his heart. And why don't you tell them that story about how your great-grandfather...
Thank you, first of all, everybody, for coming today. I want to really thank Mary Lou Romano. We, as a Montclair chapter of Unico, we were going to have our own Heritage Day in September, and when I called her to give us a little help on the musical end, she was kind enough to say, I'd be happy to help you. And on the other hand, she said, we're having an event at the library, co-sponsored pretty much by the Italia, the library, and Sister City. You know, how about joining forces with us? How about maybe being a sponsor? How about, you know, making it happen that day and helping us? So we were grateful for that. This has been great so far, and without you offering that, we may not be here, but we're happy that we are here. So that's important. The other thing is, before I talk about my grandfather, I want to talk about, I'm sitting here in the chair today, and I get emotional thinking about it, because in 1966, when the Marzullos, when Raphael came here, Marilena had not been born yet. I'm not so sure the exact date, but I was born and raised in a family building. My grandfather's last name was Carnival. Originally had property on Pine Street, but also bought a property on Glenridge Avenue in Montclair, number 57. So the next door building on 55 is the Marzullo building. So I'm sitting here 55 years later and sharing this Italian-American Heritage Day here with Raphael Marzullo, who came here when I don't know how old you were when you came to...
7.5.
7.5 years old. He's 7.5 years old. I don't want to say older, but I was 5 years older than Raphael. So here I am at 12, and Raphael is at 7.5, and his brother Mimo might have been 4, 3, or 1. 1, of course. 2. And our dear Mary Elena wasn't there at the time, but she came shortly afterwards. So to think I'm sitting here in this room today, sharing this day, and joining in with Raphael Lello, as I know him as well, was really kind of sentimental for me, sitting there thinking about, you know, him 50 years ago when he came here, and of course we lived next door. And on a final note, before I talk a little bit about Unico, my grandfather, Antonio Carnaval, and his wife, Caterina, they owned property on Pine Street, lots number 90, number 92, and number 94. Well, of course, in 1932, he decided to donate his property at number 94 Pine Street to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So, pretty amazing story. The property that sits on now, 94, the church obviously took 5 years to build. It was completed in 1937. But we are really proud of Grandpa for donating that property and being where it is today, and really thankful after a long battle led by a few groups of people, primarily the Marzullos, in keeping Mount Carmel open. So let's continue to fight. Particularly for our family, we are really, really happy that it's open. My grandfather would die again if he ever saw that close. So again, that's really touching stuff. And just a quick note, our chapter of Unico here, we have one in Montclair, and of course most of you know about Unico. It's a great Italian-American organization, the biggest one in the country. And we have about 5,000 members, and we do a lot of good stuff, a lot of service stuff, a lot of donations to organizations, scholarships, and so on and so forth. So we do have a table outside. We're thrilled to be here with everybody else. Thank you for my members in our chapter that are here today, that have done a lot of work to try to help put this together. And again, God bless everybody, and thank you.
Thank you.
Now, just for a couple of minutes, because we're kind of getting to the end of this part of our day, is that I would like Tommy Russo to come on up. And Tommy has been a figure in the neighborhood for years. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about your connection to immigration or whatever, the neighborhood?
Thank you, Mary. Earlier this morning, out front, I had made a statement that I was the first Italian-American chief of police in the history of the Montclair Police Department. Something that I'm very proud of. Before I relate the story about how I became the first Italian-American chief of police, I'd like to make a statement. And the statement is, I have a great admiration for people of Irish heritage and Irish descent. In fact, I married an Irish girl, Melba Finn. However, when my name became prominent as possibly becoming the next chief of police of the township of Montclair, there was a group of Irish police officers who were also in contention for the job that saw fit to try to degrade me because of my Italian-American heritage. What they did, they took a picture of John Gotti. It was at the time when John Gotti was at his height as a mobster in New York City. They took a picture out of the Star Ledger of John Gotti with the headlines, Gotti going to jail. And what they did was superimpose a picture of me from my FBI Academy graduation, and also improvised Russo going to jail instead of Gotti. And they posted it on the PBA board in the cellar of Montclair Police Headquarters. And they also, in all the radio cars, put a flyer with Russo going to jail. They stated that because of my Sicilian heritage, that I was connected to organized crime and that I was part of the mafia. Well, nothing could have been further from the truth. And if they had any common sense or knowledge, they should realize that just 2 months before this occurred, I had graduated from the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. And before I was able to get into the academy, I was investigated 9,000 different ways to make sure that I was qualified to enter the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. So it didn't work. It backfired on them. Prior to me becoming chief of police, I was the 11th chief of police in the history of the Montclair Police Department. 10 chiefs prior to me were all of Irish heritage. So it was quite an honor and quite a challenge for me to become the first Italian-American chief of police. And to top it off, I don't want to be too long up here, but to top it off, when I retired as the chief of police of the township of Montclair, the township manager was a gentleman by the name of Terry Reedy. Terry was, in my opinion, a very decent guy and a good township manager. He said to me, he said, "Chief, we know you're retiring. How do you feel about becoming a public safety director for the township?" I said, you're kidding me, right? He said, "No, I'm not kidding you." He says, "I had a discussion with the mayor and council, and we really don't want to lose you at this time, and we think that you'd be a good candidate for the director of public safety." I said, "Well, can I go home and discuss this with my wife?" But I already knew the answer before I went home and talked to my wife. But anyway, I went home and talked to my wife, and she says, "Do whatever you want." So I came back on Monday, and I told Terry, I said, "Terry, I'll take the job if you offer it." He said, "Well, we got to go through some procedures to create the position, but you're going to be our next director of public safety." Up until then, in the old, I believe it's the Faulkner type of government, used to have commissioners, commissioner of Department of Public Works, commissioner of Finance, commissioner of Public Safety, commissioner of Parks and Recreation. So up until I became the first appointed director of public safety, it was always by election, and then through the council, they would each take a department. So not only did I become the first Italian-American chief of police, but I became the first Italian-American ever appointed as a director of public safety for the township of Montclair.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. I can't tell you how proud I am to have the two distinguishing jobs as a chief of police and director of public safety, and that's something I'll carry to my grave with me. I love Montclair, and I just like to say that I think that the present mayor and council, and I've been around a long time, are one of the best mayor and councils that we've had since I've been in this town. Thank you.
You make us all proud. You know, as he's sitting here and he's relating his story, you know, I got tears in my eyes. I think my sister did too, because this is like a forgotten thing about, and my eyelids twitching, okay? So, but it's a forgotten thing about not so much my generation, but the generation before me. The first two generations of Italian Americans suffered quite a bit of discrimination. And I had an uncle, my Uncle Gerald, who he was good-looking, strong, and he when he was coming of age in the 30s or maybe early 40s, he wanted to be a policeman. So he went to I think he was in Nutley at the time. He could have been in Newark, and he said, "But you know what they did? They said, okay, O'Hara, good. They get the applications. O'Hara, good. You know, Romano in the garbage. You know, and it was because of that he never could make the next step up from a day laborer to a profession. And actually later on, he's such a good guy, he became a volunteer police person too. So, but I mean, these are the things that we suffered and that we know. And that's why when we think of other immigrants that are coming here, that we all have to, you know, like I said, open our hearts and remember that we had a lot of very heavy, even myself growing up, I had to hear that my father was in the mafia, and he was another guy who woke up at 5 in the morning to go to a construction job, you know. So, yeah, so we have to be aware of that. We don't want to sit and cry about it, really, but it happened, and it happened in our churches with all the Irish priests. That's why we need to hang on to Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
And that. So, yeah, never forget, but keep moving ahead. Well, there's no better way, I think, to end this part of our program than with the arts. The arts speak for us in a way that holding a microphone and trying to talk just doesn't. So I'd like to share with you some pictures. One of the paintings of Vincent Tango, who is from the old neighborhood, and here in Montclair. And he was a folk artist, and he's done some gorgeous work. You know, he's like my hero. I've just started to paint, and this is the kind of thing I adore doing. And this is one of the buildings right on Pine Street. And it's gorgeous when you have a chance to take a look at it. And then we have another one. Stella, want to hand that to? And here we have another. It's like a panorama of that neighborhood, and and probably at maybe the height of the Italian Americanness of that neighborhood, probably in the 50s or so. That's where he painted it. So these are the things we have to hold on to, you know, our stories, our art, our music. And that's why, you know, I'm Luca Guguz. I've been doing Italian dance and culture for about 22 years. And it's just enriched my life so many times over. I don't know if my daughter feels that way, because she learned how to walk on stage in a little Italian costume, and now she is all grown up. So thank you so much for coming, and whatever your roots are, honor them, enjoy them. And in about 10 minutes, we're going to begin a fabulous book presentation about Italian Americans in America. Okay? Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Raphael wanted to say something.
One thing I forgot to mention before you leave, one of the riches of Aquilonia was their wheat fields and wine and olive oil. So on your way out when we're done, in the back table outside, there's loaves of bread for everybody to take home. And also, please, we have 2 vendors outside selling sausage and peppers and selling ice cream. They're a large sponsor of this. So on your way out, if you feel like having a little sausage and peppers or a little ice cream, please visit our vendors. Thank you again.